If you're trying to lose weight, eat healthier, or stick to your meal prep, then I'm about to make your life a whole lot easier. I'm Amy, a nutrition coach who has lost and kept off 40 pounds of fat. In this video, I'm gonna show you how you can batch prep lean protein in just about 10 minutes of hands-on time so that you have it ready for your entire week. You can either use it to meal prep your meals for the week, or you can follow what I do, and I like to change it up, use the same base protein, and change up the other ingredients so that I never get bored of what I'm eating. So I'm gonna go ahead and show you how you can batch prep some chicken for your meals. Now, I like to use my Instant Pot, but you can also use a crock pot. You can also bake it in the oven, though, to be honest, it kind of gets dry. I prefer like a boiling method or somewhere where it's more immersed in liquid so that it stays really moist. What we're gonna go ahead and do, again, I like to use chicken breast. You can use chicken tenders, chicken thighs, though chicken thighs do have quite a bit more fat, so it does drive up the calories. So if weight loss is your goal, you wanna opt for the chicken breast or chicken tenders. So let's go ahead and get this in the Instant Pot. We've already got our water in the bottom. You wanna do about a cup of water, and I'm just putting the last of the chicken breast in. Actually, I'm gonna turn that around so I can season the other side. And we are just seasoning it with some simple things so that we can keep it neutral for our recipes. So I'm just doing garlic powder, salt, and pepper. And you can either use chicken broth or water at the bottom. You just wanna make sure that if you are doing this in the Instant Pot that you do have liquid down there to keep from burning. And you can do it directly in the liquid. I use the little trivet here to keep it up just so it's easier to take out the chicken. But we're gonna go ahead and just get this seasoned and in the Instant Pot. So you wanna make sure that your Instant Pot is sealed. We're gonna go ahead and click manual. And if you have smaller pieces of chicken, you can do about 16 minutes. Mine are pretty thick, so I am going to do 18 to ensure they're cooked all the way through, and then just let it do its thing. So prepping that chicken literally took us, I don't know, less than 5 minutes. It was super simple. With, boiling, you could season the water a little bit. You can do it in chicken broth for some more flavor. And crock pot is the same. And I'll leave all these directions in the description below. And if you want more healthy recipes for meal prep, snacks, desserts, I do it all. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on anything. Our chicken is ready. It just did a slow release. So for this recipe, you can either shred it up or you can chop it into cubes. Either works well for meal prep. If you're just meal prepping this, you can obviously keep the chicken breast whole as well. Now, I have a few different tools that I use for shredding. First is going to be our easiest method is one of these shredders where you literally just put the chicken in and move it back and forth and it shreds pretty quickly with pretty low effort. You can also use claws, so taking them out and shredding them with claws. This is also a great method, pretty quick. And if you don't have any of those, little more tedious, but still works, you can shred with 2 forks. And trust me, this chicken comes out so incredibly well cooked and tender for the Instant Pot. I make this all the time, and once my husband had it from the Instant Pot, he constantly requests that I always cook the chicken in the Instant Pot because it always comes out perfectly every time. And because it is in fact easiest and most efficient, I am going to use this device to shred my chicken today. And I will leave a link to this. Oh my gosh, I gotta show you this juice. I'll show you a close-up in a second. I will leave a link to this in the description, so if you wanna grab one, or the claws, it'll be real easy for you to find. Okay, just look at how juicy this is. Look at those juices. Seriously, it's so nice and tender, perfectly cooked. All right, so I'm gonna show you how easy this is. So we're just gonna put the lid on, and doesn't matter if the chicken is hot or not, and you just turn it. It should stick to your counter, and shred it up. Sometimes you gotta move the pieces around a little bit, but you can see overall, that's pretty well shredded. For this recipe, we actually only need 4 ingredients, though I have a couple of optional ones that we could add if we wanted to. So the main star of the show is going to be a spaghetti squash. These are great, they're high in volume, and they're so delicious. For our protein, we are going to be using our shredded chicken, about a cup per portion, some tomatoes, some small tomatoes. Honestly, you could use any tomatoes, but I use cherry, and then Alfredo sauce. And I'm gonna talk a little bit more about what type of Alfredo sauce I recommend later in the video. Optional add-ons. You do have the option of blending in some cottage cheese for added protein, which I am going to do. And you can also top with some cheese or mix in some shredded cheese if you want that extra cheesiness in your recipe. These are totally optional ingredients. You will need the basics, olive oil, salt and pepper, but that's kind of a given. So let's go ahead and get our spaghetti squash in the oven. So a little hack we can do with our spaghetti squash to soften it up a little bit before we cut it in half and it goes in the oven is actually puncture a line around it and put it in the microwave for a little bit. It kind of softens it up so that it makes it a lot easier to cut into. So first, make sure your spaghetti squash is washed because you should always wash the outside of your fruits and vegetables. So we're just gonna go ahead and carefully puncture a few lines across the body of the spaghetti squash and add a few more puncture lines. You can also just cut it fresh. You do not have to put it in the microwave. It just kind of makes it a little bit easier to cut. And we're gonna pop this in the microwave for about 5 minutes. Our spaghetti squash is out of the oven, but it's a little bit hot, so I'm gonna let it cool a little bit and go over some more details about the recipe. The macros with a half an ounce of the mozzarella cheese, without the cottage cheese mixed in, and 2 servings of this particular Alfredo sauce does get us up to 400-ish calories and 33 grams of protein. So to make it more macro friendly, what I'm going to do, and again, it's totally up to you, you do not have to do this, is use half the amount of this, so that would be 1 serving, which is 45 calories, half a cup, and blend it with about a half a cup of cottage cheese. So that not only slightly reduces the calories, but really the benefit is upping the protein in this recipe. As I mentioned, you do want to look for a lower calorie Alfredo sauce. This one is 45 calories per quarter cup. Yesterday when I was in the store, I noticed that some were 100 per quarter cup, so double the amount. So check the label to make sure you're getting a lower calorie one. It probably means it's also lower in fat, especially saturated fat. This does have a little bit because it does have cream. You can also totally make your own Alfredo sauce. I can actually link a recipe in the description, but because we're trying to keep this simple today, we're gonna go to the easier route. This feels like it's probably good enough. We're gonna go ahead and cut it open. We're just going to carefully cut along the seam that we made. So you can see that already went in probably easier than it would have. Make sure you're very careful with this. This is not a super easy task, to be completely honest. Let's see, I think I can, nope, we're not there yet. Oh, there we go. Now we're just gonna scoop out the insides and start roasting it. You can also totally save the seeds if you want. I'm not picking them out right now, but you do you. They make a great snack, so feel free. I'm also using this awesome cutting board that lets me easily manage the scraps. If you are using plastic cutting boards still, you need to ditch those ASAP. If you haven't heard, microplastics can very easily leak into your food, but I like this cutting board a lot because not only can I move my vegetable scraps, but I can also put like my chopped vegetables and things like that in here, so I can easily take it over to my stove. I will leave the link for it in the description, so you can grab one too. Again, highly recommended. I use it on the regular. They have lids too, so if you wanna like prep vegetables and things like that, it's really easy. I think they also have like a pasta drainer one or something. I don't know, there's a bunch of different ones. So now we're just gonna go ahead and drizzle some olive oil and brush it on. This helps soften up the spaghetti squash. You can get fancy with the seasonings if you want, but I'm just gonna do simple salt and pepper. And I am using this Osmo garlic salt just to add a little bit of extra flavor to it. Sprinkle it on, flip it over. And we're gonna go ahead and pop them in the oven. Now, if you're skipping this step, if you're not adding the cottage cheese, then you don't have anything to do until your spaghetti squash comes out of the oven, unless you have to prep your chicken. Then you should do that. That's literally how simple this recipe is. So as I mentioned, you can make your own Alfredo sauce, high protein, low calorie Alfredo sauce from scratch. But what we are going to do today is half and half of the pre-made Alfredo sauce and cottage cheese with a little bit of extra seasonings. And I use my trusty Ninja Blender Boss because this thing is like, everything comes out insanely smooth. So it's a perfect recipe to get your new and improved Alfredo sauce really, really creamy. So I'm adding half a cup of Alfredo sauce, and I'm actually doing 3/4 of a cup cottage cheese, but you can stick to half. I recently got this blender, but I love it. Really easy to put on. And again, like I said, it just blends up everything so easily. And they have a lot of really cute colors. There's like a lavender lemonade, which is adorable. And then this one's like a watermelon bubblegum or something. Anyway, my favorite colors are green and pink. So I opted for this one. So we can just click it in and push the button. I will leave the link for this in the description. I will also leave a link for a lower calorie Alfredo sauce. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons and turn on notifications so that you don't miss out on any more healthy, delicious, high protein recipes or health and weight loss tips. These are out of the oven. We're just gonna go ahead and turn them over. And we are going to put our tomatoes in now and actually put them in the oven to roast a little bit further because they are not quite ready yet. And I am using a full pint. It's up to you how many you want to use. This is also great with spinach or broccoli. And now back in the oven to finish. Our spaghetti squash is out of the oven and you can see the tomatoes are nice and blistered, which is just what we wanted. So now we're gonna go ahead and shred these up. And once I have this shredded up, what I'm actually going to do is transfer it to a pan so that we can heat the chicken and the Alfredo sauce so that we have everything nice and warm. And then optionally, you can retransfer it to these for serving. A little behind the scenes here. I just wanted to take a second to talk about my pans. These are my Caraway pans and I love them. They're non-stick, non-toxic, and they are stunning. We picked yellow to match the kitchen stools that we had, but we were really thinking about getting like, they have these cream colored and they have black. Anyway, they are on sale always with my link and code. So I'm gonna leave that in the description. They also have meal prep containers. So again, if you're like swapping out your plastic for glass, these are a great option. So I highly recommend. Anyway, back to the recipe. Pouring our Alfredo sauce in. And I just turned it on to low heat, or I guess medium low. And we're also gonna add in our chicken. And I'm just adding a couple handfuls of spinach just because, to be honest, I need more iron and spinach is high in iron and it adds more volume to the meal. Go ahead and mix this up now. Next, we're going to put our spaghetti squash in so everything can be well combined. Toss to combine. If you're adding any cheese, mozzarella, or Parmesan, this would be the time to add it, or you can just top it as well, your choice. Thank you all so much for being here. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what your thoughts are about this recipe in the comments. And if you haven't already, please hit the like and subscribe button so you don't miss out on any healthy and delicious recipes or meal prep tips. And it also helps support me as a creator so that I can keep giving you more delicious recipes. Thank you and see you next time.